guys, I just wanted to do, I wanted to do a little bit more long content of me just chatting important, interesting things, and then put it on the podcast. Now, I don't know if people are going to be appreciative of that, or if they'd rather the podcast just stay as the podcast and not have my long content and just put this on YouTube. I don't know, so hit me up, let me know what you think, what you'd rather, if you'd rather just see on the actual podcast platform, keep it nice and concise and just be the episodes with my guests, or have it interspersed with these little bonus episodes with me talking. They'll probably be like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. That's what I used to do. Some though, I was looking back, because I used to do this on my YouTube when I first got sober. The first couple of years I was doing these little short long content things, but I think some of them got to be like 28 minutes of me just rabbiting on, which is obviously what I'm doing now, and that magic tree smelly thing might be getting in the way, but never mind. So what I was so Jen has just come down with COVID. She's okay, she's a little bit poorly. She came home, she went to a reunion for a university on Friday night in the UK, and one of her friends had COVID, and I was like, oh no. So yesterday she came home, did a test because she was feeling a bit roughish, and yeah, tested positive. I'm alright just now. I'm on my way to my peer mentoring class up at Douglas. I have phoned in and said, listen, what's the rules, because I feel fine. I haven't tested yet, but I feel fine, so don't know. Anyway, it's not 2021 or 2020 anymore, so it's difficult to know what the rules are, and you know, whether people are that bothered about it anymore, because it is just a bit of flu. Anyway, I'm rambling now, but what I wanted to talk to you about was COVID, because you know, I think if you remember way back to the COVIDian days of yore, 2020, 2021, 2022, and I suppose 2023 a little bit, but not so much. There was just, I mean, I took myself off of so many different groups on Facebook just because of the inane division of people getting into arguments with themselves, with each other, about the COVID vaccine and the conspiracy, and you know, how dare they, and pushing it through. And you can obviously tell which camp I'm in, but like, I'm not going to disrespect people that didn't want to get the, you know, that didn't want to get the vaccine. I got the vaccine, I got it for a couple of times, you know, and then I just thought, well, you know, at that point, 2023, I'd had COVID for the first time, and I was like, do you know what, I've got enough antibodies now. But I think the whole thing with COVID would have lasted longer had we not got the vaccine. Anyway, that's my point of view on that. But what I was going to talk to you about was like people that thought, and it was like the entire nation or world was divided almost pretty much down the middle. I think, you know, I think there was probably more people were okay with the vaccine than not, but there was a lot of conspiracies coming up. There was a lot of like articles, fake articles with weird headlines that had the wrong facts and figures, but they would only put that in like the first paragraph, like, you know, completely shocking info that wasn't true, but they knew that people wouldn't then read down the article where maybe the truth came out, because they knew that most people would only read the first couple of paragraphs of an article and go, oh my god, this is what this says. But it wasn't actually saying that. It was just trying to shock you into believing the falsehoods that were made up about that. But what I'm going to say is the conspiracy theories about that, you know, that it was I don't know, there was things about it being a tracker being put in you, or they were trying to basically kill people off by you know, infecting them with some foreign agent, and it was just like, how dare us be subjugated to put in all this toxin into our body, and you can probably kind of see where I'm going with. Do you know what I mean? It was like people were absolutely livid that how dare the governments put this chemical into our bodies, and we didn't want to do that, and we didn't want to poison ourselves, and yet they drink. You know, people drink, and people drink quite well, very regularly, and you know, the government is not lying to you, but I think that, you know, by omitting the truth, you're still lying. By omitting the truth that it is a carcinogen, categorized in 1988 by the World Health Organization as a category 1 carcinogen, along with tobacco, asbestos, and radiation. So, you know, it's up there with those big 3 killers, and yet it's not widely spoken about or advertised or warned against. You know, all the bottles say is drink responsibly, when it is a poison. And if you want to get into conspiracy theories like the COVID vaccine, then why not focus on alcohol and how much it is actually killing the nation and dumbing people down, destroying their clarity, destroying their health, destroying, you know, their get up and go in life. You know, like, I don't even know what the figures are, but if you go out on a Friday and Saturday night in the towns, absolutely chock full of people, not just having a couple of drinks, but having an absolute skinful. And that's the sad part, that the fact that the government doesn't seem to want to tell us how bad this social pastime is for us, is doing to us. You know, the fact that I read the other day that the alcohol companies who are allowed to self-regulate their advertising and the warnings and all that, government's never stepping in and saying no, actually you need to tell people that this is really bad for them. We'll allow you to still sell it and pass it on to people and make loads of money off of it, but we're gonna tell you that you have to let people know that this is bad for them, and then let the general public make up their own mind. That's not happening. And alcohol companies, big alcohol, actually rely on the heavy drinkers, the alcoholics, the people that are drinking more than the safe government allowance, which I think is what, like 5 units a week. Like, who has, if you're a drinker, you're gonna have more than 5 units in a night. And the big alcohol companies, they thrive on the heavy drinkers, the problem drinkers. That is where the majority of their money is coming in from. So why would they want to make alcohol be known that it's a danger drug? You know, why would they want to lose out on all that revenue and all that money coming in? That's the scary part, that they actually rely on the people that are the worst of the worst. You know, that's their biggest income, and that to me is absolutely fucking disgusting, and it makes me so angry. Like, I've spoken a few times on the podcast that, you know, I am angry with big alcohol, and maybe that'll go at some point. It might do, but at the moment, and I don't know if it will go, because I am absolutely livid with it. I you know what, I said a few times in the podcast that I don't really touch the alcohol-free stuff. I don't want to ever drink it again, because again, that is giving money to the alcohol companies. I don't want to give money to the alcohol companies, because they're essentially, you know, hello fairies. This is what we have to do in the Isle of Man. When you cross the ferry bridge, you have to say hello to the fairies, or Moramai Mundravega, which is good morning, little people. Anyway, so yeah, I don't want to give money to these companies anymore, because they're essentially, you know, big corporate drug dealers in a fancy hat that's been allowed by the government. You know, they're essentially, I was going to say they're no different from the cartels. They're actually much worse than the cartels. The cartels, yeah, they're probably doing some pretty nefarious stuff, you know, in the jungles of South America and all that, and killing and murdering people, right? That aside, the actual drug that's coming through isn't killing as many people as the alcohol. And let's talk about tobacco as well. You know, that's been outlawed pretty much. You don't really see a lot of people smoking in public places anymore. You know, we finally got through to the government. You know, eventually they've kind of, they're not allowed to advertise it. Rarely see people smoking on TV anymore. If you go into a shop, you can't see the cigarettes. They're not on display. They're behind the gantries. All the packets are the same. There's no standout branding like for Marlboro or Camel, Regal, whatever. You know, they're not allowed to be branded with their particular individual brand name. That's stopped. So why is alcohol not doing that? You know, that's the whole thing here. You got caught off a little bit there. The wife was calling. She's okay. She's feeling a little bit better. But yeah, and then I went to my meeting. Group, peer mentoring group, and you know we were talking about. We were. You know, I brought up what I was talking about just now as well. It was also about tools that, you know, we use in recovery to help us get better and stay sober, clean. But yeah, so the alcohol companies, you know, they need to start putting labels on the bottles, you know, in the cans. That's first and foremost what needs to happen. You know, just a simple little tool to begin with to let people know that what they're imbibing, what they're putting in themselves is dangerous and it's bad for you, and essentially it's a killer, you know. Yeah, I know that there's people that can have a few drinks and leave it, Jen being one of them, and that's absolutely great. I'm not trying to outlaw alcohol, but that would be an ideal situation in my mind, because it doesn't serve any purpose. It really doesn't. It doesn't bring you any joy, apart from maybe for like the first 20-30 minutes, but it's a depressant. So the more you do it and the older you get, the more downbeat and sadder you're gonna get in your life. If you just knock this out, just get rid of it, you're gonna be a happier, healthier person. It's that simple. And it just really irritates me that, you know, it's the one drug in the world that you're kind of looked down upon if you say you don't do it. It's like, how dare you not drink? What is wrong with you? Why are you not ingesting poison every week or every day or every hour? You know, again, I know that not everyone was as bad and as such a sad, hopeless case as I was, but it's not doing you any good whatsoever. And I think the government, you know, needs to take a stand. Ireland have done it, Canada have done it. I think in the grand scheme of things, when the smoking ban came in, Ireland were first, then Scotland followed maybe a year later, and then I think England followed like 2 years later. So England were very, very slow to the uptake. Don't know why. I guess the money they make off of it, but I think the Isle of Man, where I live, needs to be ahead of the game, ahead of the picture, ahead of the curve, and get those labels on bottles. You know, again, you know, I just think, going back to the whole conspiracy thing, if people were worried about what they were injecting themselves with at the time, then why are they not too worried about what they're putting in their bodies on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? You know, Christmas is coming up. It's just disgusting how much advertising and marketing and basically lies they're telling you to in order to make a shit ton of money. It's, you know, you see the absolute mountains and pyramids of cans and bottles and offers and whatever, and you see the trolleys filled with booze for Christmas. It's, you know, when you're seeing it from my side of the fence, it's absolutely disgusting, and I just worry for the nations, for the people. I just worry because, you know, it's just what having a Christmas that's sober, it's just so much better, because you're not hanging with anxiety and that little in-between bit between Christmas and New Year, and then by the time you go back to work, you're like, what did I actually do at Christmas? Yeah, you might have had a bit of a good time, but, you know, a lot of it you were probably hanging or, you know, spending money that you didn't have on going out on big nights out, because you need your work's night out and then your friend's night out. And, you know, I'm not saying don't go out and enjoy yourself, just do it without alcohol. Just do it without alcohol. You don't need the alcohol. Get past that anxiety that's built in you from such a young age to, you know, learn to appreciate life without alcohol. You know, we're not the boring ones that are sober. We're the ones that are living life true to ourselves and true to the way that we're meant to be, without putting a mind-altering substance into ourselves. That, let's be honest, you know, the more and more you do of it, the more and more you make less sense. You can't function. You can barely walk. Obviously, that's the extreme cases, but, you know, let's get smashed, let's get fucked. That's the kind of mantra that people have, especially at Christmas time when you're going out. It's like, let's drink until you're at blackout or you feel like shit the next day. And if you feel like shit the next day, you're like, oh, I must have had a really good night. Can't remember most of it, but little snippets. Oh, there might be a little bit of embarrassment of something I said or did, but I had a good night. Nah, you'd have had a better night if you'd stayed sober and you know, just enjoyed yourself and the company that you were with, rather than just kind of getting absolutely blitzed. Anyway, so I hope people have enjoyed my little rambling chat with you. As I say, I'll put this on the podcast, but I definitely want to hear back on what people think. You know, if you've enjoyed it, if you've not, if you'd rather it just be on the YouTube and keep it separate from the podcast, if we want to keep that clean, that's fine. But I want to know what people think. So comment on the podcast platform that you're listening on. Even if that is YouTube, just say, yeah, keep it on YouTube. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or Audible, I don't know if people are listening on Audible. I mean, you've got facts, figures for that. I don't know. I need to find out. But yeah, if you are, then let me know on Instagram as well, or on Facebook, wherever. Just let me know if you'd rather not see this stuff. I would say this is the first one I've done in a long time, so it might be a bit rambly and it might be not what everyone's views or values are. So, but yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. So, basically, I hate alcohol and big alcohol. So, but yeah, so like, subscribe, share, comment, 5-star review, and until my next one, stay safe, stay sober, and stay supportive. Cheers, guys. Love you. Peace.